Hey, welcome everyone to Game Central Junction. As always, I am your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer, who, from audio quality, you'll tell is in his car right now. But you know what? We're running the show anyway. Everything's going as close to plan as possible. We've got some fun and awful things to talk about, so strap right in, share the show with some other people, and hey, if you're feeling a little frisky at any point, you can give a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitorium live. Really helps us out, and you know, it makes you feel better about yourself, I think, to some degree, so you consider it. It'll make you feel better than Ubisoft investors do right now, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's for sure. Oh. Yeah, I only have, like most things, I only got my information about that from an Alvin Gold clip. So
oh yeah,
sounded not good.
yeah, no, it's definitely not good. The whole call, which I haven't listened to the whole thing, because the, I guess, individual re-upload by a non-certified individual has been nuked, so you're not going to find it on YouTube.
Really?
But you can if you're a journalist or working in any part of the industry, whether you're an investor, I think even a competing company, you just sign up for Ubisoft's site and the call is like right there. You can just listen to it. So maybe I will.
I'm sure plenty. I'm guessing plenty of people downloaded it from, if somebody uploaded to YouTube briefly.
Yeah.
We got a lot of downloads.
But I've seen quite a bit from it, and yeah, it's bad. It's pretty bad. Ubisoft is in a really bad place, as we all knew. Like, we didn't need confirmation to know that Ubisoft was in a bad place. It's just vindicating, I think.
Yeah, just a lot of confirmation. There's the fact they didn't, at least in that call, release actual sales data for Assassin's Creed Shadows, and all of their sort of accolades for it were very highly
curtailed.
How should you put it? Like categorized, like
yeah.
Number one in this really obscure, subcategory of subcategories.
Best-selling Ubisoft game within the last period of time that's really specific.
Yeah, only on, PlayStation within this, particular time frame. Blah, blah, blah.
If it's a Tuesday.
Yeah. It was like, so you can't just say best-selling or, whatever. They had to couch it in all of these additional adjectives.
Remember, they never, not discussing sales, they were going with players, right, the entire time.
Yeah.
Unique players, which, for their player count, they could count literally anyone who had Game Pass, which was part of how they were fudging their numbers, since they were on Game Pass.
Yeah. I got a lot of arguments from that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, were they on Game Pass or were they on PS Plus? I guess they weren't.
Or maybe it wasn't. They have there's a Ubisoft Connect.
Yeah, that was it.
Thing. I think that was it. Yeah, they have a Ubisoft membership that lets you play all their games, and a lot of people have it anyway, so they can play the older Assassin's Creed or anything like Steep.
Yeah.
Steep is a great game. If I didn't own it for practically nothing, I think I got Steep for $10 or something like that. I think their membership would be worth it just to play Steep. So there's probably a lot of people who have that membership that they're counting as players that never even intended on playing the game.
I'm sure. And I guess the question is, did they count people who didn't actually even download it?
I don't know. I don't think any of us will know. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like with their mistake of not making this game, Expedition 33, where they are actually showing real sales when they say, hey, look, we passed, what was it, like 2 million, I think was the last thing that they passed? 2 million sales, 2 million units moved.
Yeah, when when a game's a success, you don't typically tie to the actual number of sales. Just saying.
Oh, Fishoso asks, what game? Well, the one I just mentioned is Claire Obscure Expedition 33. We've talked about it on here before. It's a turn-based RPG that has reactive mechanics in the battle to make it a little more challenging. Not the first game to do it, though probably the one that's taken it to the extremes that the game has. I don't think any... maybe Legend of Dragoon had come close before that, but nobody else who does that, like South Park or Paper Mario or Mario and Luigi, any of the Mario RPGs, none of them have taken it to that extent. And the reason I bring that one back up again, though, is because the leader of the small company that made the game worked at Ubisoft. He used to be like an Ubisoft higher up in development. And he came up with the idea when he was at Ubisoft, and they didn't want it. So he left, and with I think there was a couple other senior devs. There's like maybe 6 of the whole team were previously devs.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is just
Ubisoft.
like junior devs that they brought in for this project. They're like the first thing they ever worked on. The rest of the team.
From what I've heard, the total development budget for that game was $5.5 million, and Assassin's Creed Shadows, the other game we're talking about, supposedly cost about $350 million.
Yeah. Orders of magnitude difference.
Yeah, and yet sold fewer, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And not even just return of investment, gross made less money.
Right.
And their game costs slightly more, too.
Yep. So, yeah. I imagine the rumors of Ubisoft being either just outright sold or broken up and sold, or they're going to need investors. But after this call, I don't know that they're going to get any with the current makeup of the company.
Yeah, I don't know.
Seems like they've got a lot of IP, and they could basically break up or sell it all off to different better companies. Who's going to end up getting Assassin's Creed and actually making a good one for once?
Well, if they did, you either reboot the whole franchise or at least you rewind to 3, right? Like before Black Flag, and you make a new sequel to 3. I think that's the only options you have, is either a full reboot or rewind to making a new sequel to 3. It'll be like Terminator, right? Where every single new Terminator is just like a direct sequel to Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Because they keep resetting the timeline, and Terminator 2 is like the branching point.
Well, are they actually even related anymore? I mean, this latest one seems like it's just a one-off. I mean, it's part of the main series, but
are you talking
is
about
it directly related to any others?
I have no clue. Like the whole organization of assassins, I forget the name of it, that is still involved somehow.
Is it in this one?
But yeah, it's just like very loosely involved. I saw some clips where some people showed where they were referenced in there. It's just it's unnecessary, and you could probably just miss it in game. But that's how it's been
it just
before.
seems...
Like Odyssey was kind of the same way. There's you could mistake Odyssey to have nothing to do with the rest of the franchise, which currently has more active players than Shadows.
Wow, that's amazing. To me, though, they could just keep going. I mean, if they could just make a good Assassin's Creed game, I don't know why they'd have to reboot. Just make the next one good.
Should. Because I think they lost the plot a long time ago, and they've done so bad recently that they could just kind of sweep the rug and just like pretend everything didn't happen and nobody would even notice or care, and they could actually just go back to how things used to be.
I just don't know that it matters if they. I mean,
no.
just
I don't
they
think
don't have to acknowledge.
Care.
I mean, does the next one have to reference? What's his name? Yasuke or anything?
Well, so this is also why I think they should just reboot the whole franchise, right? You don't have to go back to the good
Yeah.
point. If they reboot the whole franchise from scratch, you could start over. You can rope people back in with familiar things that they like and be like, hey, look, no, we're going to do it right this time around. And then you can do whatever you want. Like, you can even completely change the story. It doesn't really matter.
I guess I just don't even know what the story is. Even of 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, well, it's about. I think I've told you. I'm not going to go into it right now. I've explained it before. It would take up way too much of the show to explain it. If I need to, I could explain it to you later when you're home and we're not on the stream.
I don't actually care.
I know you don't.
I'm just saying, it doesn't seem all that important to me.
Yeah.
Thing to even reboot the story. Just do.
No, well, I'm not even necessarily talking about rebooting the story. I'm just saying reboot the entire franchise. It would be the safest thing to do from like a marketing perspective, because the franchise is slipping over my own tongue, has been too tainted at this point. That no matter what you do with it, I think a reboot is just the safer thing to do. But Fishoso's a question. He says, how come nobody cares to watch my gameplay videos? Well, I didn't comment, but I did watch the last one you put into the shilling area in the Discord. I do check out most things that are put in there. You're just
actually didn't know.
See,
I didn't know.
I think I lost you. Oh, yep, I did lose him. Don't worry, he'll be back, and I'll be unspliced in a second.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever my phone logs onto the Wi-Fi, for some reason Discord can't handle it.
Yeah, I have the same problem. Like, if we're about to go out, right, and I'm in the middle of doing like dailies in some game on my phone, I have to like kill the game and then just relog back in once we're in the car, because if we disconnect from it and I go on to service, the game just freezes. And it's like we can't reconnect for some reason. Yeah.
Obviously, I am here on the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. But yeah, the problem is why nobody cares to watch your gameplay videos is that you're in a huge sea of competition. You know, most of the internet is gameplay videos at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
don't take any slight against it. Like I said, I watched the last one you put in, but that's just how it is.
Nobody ever watched my gameplay videos either, so it's just are you on Twitch or just YouTube? Because either way, it seems like you almost have to know somebody to get popular.
Oh, it's just a video. He wasn't streaming it or anything. It was like recorded and uploaded. So he I see. Twitch.
Yeah, no, you have to be on the air every single day for a few years before you gain traction, usually.
Or just like uploading regularly, right? Like you don't necessarily have to be on the air, but it is the consistency, right? If you're going to do gameplay videos, you need to, what you want to do, actually, I think making a gameplay or a let's play is a lot easier to gain traction than actually streaming is. Because people like shorter content anyway when it comes to stuff like that. The only things they really like long-form content in are good discussions. That's why podcasts do very well. Streamers only do well with long-term content because people are coming and going throughout the entire stream. It's like, most people aren't there for the whole 8 hours that they're streaming, and they're kind of like rolling the dice long enough that things work out for them. But with a video, anyone can discover at any time. So you can record several hours of gameplay all at once and then chop it up into like 20 minutes at a time and upload it and schedule it to like this one comes out Monday, this one comes out Tuesday, this one comes out Thursday, and you can just create a lot of content pretty quickly that way and be consistent. I used to do that for a while, back on one of my other channels, and I was growing okay. It's just every time I started getting consistent, I'd have technological problems that would stop me from being consistent. So, you know,
Oh yeah,
everything's a roll of the dice. Actually, even right now, it's like I was gonna use my Elgato at the last place, and by the time I hooked it up, my computer just was not dealing with it. And it's like, well, that's one thing that's out of the question unless I somehow get that working again, which I think is just more.
Oh, really?
To my computer, yeah.
I'm gonna be muting a bit here, just because I'm trying to get settled.
Trying to remember, I had another point I was going to talk about on that exact same subject. I would like to get back to doing a Let's Play. The last one I did was what was that game? Various Day Life. I had started a Let's Play of that, and then I just never finished it at all. I went like 10 or 12 episodes in, and that was it. I think that was actually because I moved like shortly after I started it, and then I just never picked it back up afterwards, which happens a lot in my life. But it's fun. I think there is a certain there's a certain artistic composure, right? Where you sit down and you just have a monologue while playing. You're not interacting directly with the chat or whatever because you're not streaming. Though there's a different experience altogether with that. And a lot of times with a more Let's Play type of format with that sort of monologue, there's this time capsule that you can always perpetually go back. Like you can go and watch a Let's Play from 2009 or even 2011, and it completely holds up. It's still a great video to watch, while sometimes if you watch like a stream from 4 weeks ago, it already feels dated, especially because you weren't there. So there's kind of the FOMO that you weren't in the chat, right? Unless you're rewatching something that you were in. It's just a completely different artistic experience. That not everyone's cut out for. Yeah. You know, not everybody could do the whole Let's Play thing. It's kind of like the vlogging thing, which I really should just force myself to go back into it. It's like it's a muscle you have to exercise, the monologue, because you have to think about something to talk about for anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes at a time. But just like walking around and talking into a camera, which is something I did fairly consistently back. Oh, God, I want to say 12 to 13 years ago. Not everyone.
You were doing it, or?
Yeah, I actually used to daily vlog back in like 2011 and 12, maybe through all the way up to 14, but that it became more infrequent the closer you get to that. But it is like something you have to work at. It's a muscle you have to build mentally to be able to just like think of a subject and talk into a camera by yourself, right? You're talking to an imaginary person that's not there.
It can be weird for some people.
Yeah, and I used to do it a lot. I think it was easier for me because I'm somebody who just kind of rambles to himself while he's walking around anyway. Like I always have conversations with myself. But the problem is coming up with a conversation that you want to put on camera, because most of the conversations I have with myself, I want to keep with myself. Like I'm selfish. They're mine. You know, you can't have them.
Absolutely.
So it's coming up with like another one that I have to give to somebody else. And just also being very fluid with it is another issue. And all of that comes into Let's Plays as well. Let's Play is kind of like a podcast in a way. It's just a monologue while playing a video game. And it's a lot of work. A lot of times you do want to comment directly on what's going on in the game, but you can't rely only on commenting directly what's going on in the game, or else it becomes boring. You kind of have to learn to juggle topics and ideas and maybe crack a joke or two here or there. The whole routine is a talent you have to build up if you want to be good at it. And it's something you can be rusty at, too. You know, you try to jump back into it, and it's just not as smooth as the last time that you did it. It's a talent I think most streamers should have, too, though, when you're starting out anyway. Because especially when you're first starting out, nobody's watching you, right? There's nobody in chat, or you have, like, anywhere between 1 to 5 people, right? And because you only have, like, a few people in the chat, you can't bounce off of chat necessarily. You have to be able to carry... You have to be entertaining when nobody's watching. So I think a lot of those skills that you need as a solo, isolated Let's Player definitely applies to streaming as well. But you can start to use the chat as a crutch the bigger that you get.
Yeah, that always makes it seem easier because people people with large audiences already, they kind of can just bounce stuff off the chat, and
yeah,
it becomes easier at that point. But to get to that point, that's the hard part.
Yeah, and actually, this is a good point to answer one of his Chozo's questions. Does nobody care about my skills in Dishonored or XCOM? Actually, no. Nobody cares about your skills unless you are in like the top 1% for a game that people actually care about, and you're doing records or fantastic things, and you title and tag your video about like breaking records or like the crazy reason they should watch you. For the most part, people don't watch people because of how skilled they are. That's just not usually it is. It's how entertaining they are. That's why people watch people. Yeah. It is a fun thing to do, though. I have to say, like, of most of the things I've worked on the internet, I do think rambling is the most fun. Whether it's, like, walking around vlogging or doing a Let's Play with maybe some light level of editing involved. I think that is the most fun. Probably just because I like talking, but I like the end product of everything together.
Yeah. Sorry, my headphones like disconnected for a second.
Oh, okay. Like I think the thing I enjoyed the most, and I think people should watch it. Like if you're somebody watching this live right now, or watching the VOD later on, and you're bored, go watch the Let's Play I did with my brother for Breath of the Wild. It's probably one of my favorite things I've ever uploaded to the internet. It's like 52 or 3 episodes long, where most of them are somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes each. It's really silly. It's really stupid. I guarantee you, while rambling, I've said some very incorrect things in it. But I don't care, because it's just a fun watch where we'll just go off on tangents, and we'll swap back and forth on who's playing. And you get to just kind of hear the dynamic between me and my brother, which is kind of just an entertaining thing on its own. You can find it on Gaming with the Metal, or it would be like YouTube/TheMetalGotGame. It's just a fun Let's Play.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's criminally underviewed, too. But we do have other things to talk about. Probably not much more about Ubisoft. I think we've been kind of grinding that into the ground for a while now. It's just like I said, very vindicating to hear this like investors call and all of the I don't know, ramifications of it. That might be the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. Sorry, you're gonna have to you're gonna have to carry this.
Oh no,
conversation
I'm
for a
perfectly
little bit.
fine carrying it. I'm trying to give opportunity in case you wanted or to say something. It's just hard to tell at the moment whether you've got something to say or not. I'm just trying to not dominate the entire conversation, but I'm perfectly fine doing so. The other thing I was going to switch to is Square. Actually, we've got a lot of news coming out of Square. Very similarly, Square Enix has not been doing well for years, actually, now. I mean, they kind of bounce, but the bounce has been low. They've never gotten up to where you expect Square Enix to be. Years ago, they blamed all this effort that they've been wasting on Western companies, so they sold their Western companies thinking that would solve their problems. It didn't, like, at all. Eidos and Crystal Dynamics being bled off just did not affect Square's revenue, profits, or just any factor in their business. Then now they're thinking like they just spend too much on live services, too much attention on that with their mobile games, with their MMO that is starting to tank. And what they don't realize is that it's not any of these individual things. It is their just entire perspective, like their view of looking at games as a medium. That's the issue. So now they have a 3-year plan to reboot the company. They've rebooted most of their franchises, or even just remade some of their games, but now they're going to reboot the company itself.
Yeah, that was interesting. I don't know exactly what that means, but
I don't know what it means either.
I mean, that says to me like, okay, so they're gonna like have new versions of the protagonists, like as in a new CEO and executive.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't think that's what that means, but you know, I'm not sure.
No, I think what it means is that they're taking all of the plans that they have, because you know a lot of these businesses, they work on anywhere between like a 5 to 10 year trajectory, right? Like this is the direction we're going for the next so many years. It's why we hired this like CEO or director to run the company, and they're sailing the ship in this direction. I think they're taking all of that and throwing it into the incinerator and going back to at least how they ran their company maybe 15 years ago. It's hard to tell exactly where, because 15 years ago would be about where the company is what it is today, right? After the merger, after they've settled their feet in the water for a little bit, and now they're kind of like Square Enix. That's the best I can see, right? Like rewinding the clock, and we're returning to that trajectory. Now, I don't even think that trajectory was necessarily good, right? I think that the individual companies of Square and Enix had better direction before they merged together. And it's been everything since the merger that's slowly been steering them into this direction. So who knows what they're going to do?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, what did Enix have, or what do they still do anything with anything other than Dragon Quest as far as like what they had before the merger? Or was that pretty much it?
Really, they've done a couple remakes, right? Like, what was that one? Actraiser had a remake,
That was
right?
an Enix title.
Yeah, I think that was NX, not Square. There's a few really good old NX titles that I would love to see them do. Like, I definitely, a lot of people want to see a collection of, oh God, what do they call it? I can't remember. There's a trilogy. The people have a name for it. Maybe they call it like the Heaven and Earth trilogy or something. It's something along those lines. But it's the one where it's Soul Blazer, Illusion of Gaia, and it's like Terrax or something like that is the last game. I've never played it, but I'm semi-familiar with it. Like, I would love to see a collection of that put out. Maybe even just a full remastering of any of the games individually. Enix has a lot of great titles. They have the Seventh Saga, which has never seen like a port or remaster off of the Super Famicom / Super Nintendo. It is mostly Square, more than anything. It's mostly Square that we've been dealing with.
Yeah,
But,
well, and I feel like they've gone really off the rails with some things.
Yeah, for sure. Fitzjosa mentions Kingdom Hearts 4 is coming out. You can finally play as Mickey. So I haven't seen confirmation that you can play as Mickey, just hints based off of the screenshots. Like, I'm not going to believe it until... Where would I have it? There we go. I actually have this. I'm not going to believe it until we actually get hard confirmation from Nomura. I was trying to remember his name. From Nomura himself. But he does appear in the screenshots. And technically, you could say finally play as Mickey. You played as Mickey in Kingdom Hearts 2. If you were bad at the game. Just straight up. Which, as a child, you know, I wasn't very old when Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. I wouldn't say I was good at the game the first time I played it, so I did end up playing as Mickey a few times. But there's a situation in Kingdom Hearts 2 where if you die against a boss or in a mob or whatever, sometimes a screen would pop up that says, I won't give up. And if you click it, Mickey hops in and does like a bunch of flips and stuff like Yoda in the Clone Wars or Attack of the Clones. And you fight as Mickey, and you charge and try to revive Sora, and you just fight long enough until Sora gets to revive, and then you go and you continue the fight. Which you can take off most of the boss's health as Mickey during that point. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's neat.
But I heard originally, and I don't know how true this is. I really don't. As far as I know, it's just a rumor that's gone around. But I heard that the reason that he went with Sora, which was a character that Nomura had been designing for a while for other potential things, the reason they went with Sora was because Disney didn't want Mickey playable because Mickey could die. Now, the reason I don't know how true that is because Mickey is playable as the main character of a bunch of other video games and can die, you know, so... I think that might just be a bullshit rumor that's been spreading around, but I've heard it being said as if it was just the God's honest truth.
Mm-hmm. And?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's all I had to say on that part.
Yeah.
But Kingdom Hearts 4 screenshots are out. They look all right.
Yeah, I saw it.
Honestly, I think they look too good, quote unquote, as in like they're really high fidelity, but they don't necessarily look good to me for the game that it's supposed to be. They look very Advent Children. I think they would look really good if this was supposed to be a Final Fantasy, but Kingdom Hearts kind of has like this certain aesthetic to it that I just don't think it matches. And we've been told that this is just the other side, which is basically the world ends with you. And I don't think this aesthetic really works for The World Ends With You either. If you've played either of those two games, they look like Nomura's illustrative style, which Kingdom Hearts mostly matches.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll look more like the Kingdom Hearts style, just in this higher fidelity, when we move back into the world that Kingdom Hearts takes place in.
Yeah, I hope so. Although... This is one of those series. It's like it's cool that, you know, it's very. It seems to me to be very interconnected. Unlike Assassin's Creed Shadows or Assassin's Creed in general, like it's actually quite. I don't know if it's important, but I guess it's interesting or helpful to know the whole backstory going back to the original. So
Yes.
It's like, am I ever going to catch up? Am I ever going to get around to
It's it's got a very complicated story too, where you could probably write a college thesis over it. That's how complicated it is. And it's one of those games where it helps to play them in release order because the knowledge of the world unravels in that order.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Do they go into other Final Fantasy worlds in Kingdom Hearts? No, but Final Fantasy characters do show up in like every game except for 3. I don't know why they decided they didn't want Cloud and Sephiroth to return in 3, but they just didn't. But you get all kinds of them. Like in Kingdom Hearts 2, actually even in the original, you get a couple people outside of 7. It's not just 7. Squall, who goes by Leon in that game, was in the first Kingdom Hearts. But you get a lot more in 2. You have like the Gullwings are flying around, like shrunk down as little fairies, right? So you have Yuna, Riku, and Pain. I guess you also had some people like Selphie from 8 was on Destiny Isles in 1. Tidus and Waka were on Destiny Isles as well. But you also they have Final Fantasy 6 characters in 2. Setzer is the guy in charge of the struggle competition, and you get to fight him. Some 8 Cypher and his 2 minions are kids that you also fight. Struggle is a sport in Kingdom Hearts 2, where you have like a almost like a foam baton, like a LARPing sword type thing. And you hit each other, which spreads orbs everywhere, and you have to go and collect all the orbs. So it's whoever has the most orbs by the end wins. You have to fight Vivi in the struggle competition as well. Yeah, they worked a lot of Final Fantasy characters into Kingdom Hearts. I was just surprised when I saw Setzer. I'm like, wow, Final Fantasy 6 doesn't get any love.
That's a shame. So yeah, I would really. I guess it'll be a while before we get another mainline Final Fantasy game, but
yeah, probably.
It's. I'm going to say something extremely obvious. I would really, really love to see a turn-based Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, I think everybody would, except for the few people that they've pulled over the more recent years who just hate turn-based games altogether. Which I don't even think that's a majority of people. I think most people just aren't interested in games where you have to try. Like that's something I've learned. Whether it's turn-based, whether it's action or whatever, most people just aren't interested in games where you have to try. But if we're talking about traditional gamers who are looking for something that's going to challenge them, there's a lot of people who don't necessarily care for turn-based, but at the same time, they don't care that turn-based games exist either. It doesn't offend them or anything. But then there's like this vocal minority of people who just absolutely hate turn-based games with their heart and soul.
Yes, I am familiar with at least one person who feels that way.
Yeah. It's like almost that they're offended that you even like turn-based games. Like, why does this game even exist?
Exactly.
Games where you have to try. Yes, as in most people who enjoy games just want to play something that's very casual, where no effort is actually put into it. That's why one of the most popular games during the late aughts, late aughts, early 10s was Farmville, right? Where you could just log in and do the thing. It's also why a lot of mobile games are just popular in general. And why I have a big beef with a lot of other people who play gacha games, because the games are catered to that majority audience, and most of them will bitch and complain when they have to try to do anything, and the game doesn't basically just play itself. But there's like this everywhere. That's why Animal Crossing has become more and more popular. I think it's one of those things where it probably always should have been popular. It's just not enough people knew about it. And especially with New Horizons and coming out, perfect timing for COVID, finally blew it up into the popularity that Animal Crossing probably should have always had. Is that why Skyrim's popular? Yes, that is also why Skyrim's popular. They've made Elder Scrolls games to where you have to try less each iteration.
Yeah, that's probably true. But
Yeah.
you know, at least Skyrim. I mean, I still think it's
You have the option of trying though. Like if you want to challenge yourself, it's there.
yeah. I'm far more concerned about Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
Just absolutely terrible.
Oh, I think it's going to be. Well, it's going to follow the trajectory they've been going. So they've just been getting worse since Morrowind, which I enjoy Morrowind a lot, but Morrowind's not as good as Daggerfall, and then Oblivion's not as good as Morrowind, and Skyrim's not as good as Oblivion. So I can only imagine that 6 is going to be worse than Skyrim, if that's the track they've been going through.
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think the Oblivion remake is really only benefiting from the fact that it's so very close to the original.
Yes.
It's not if they had decided to like redo it, like with their current sensibilities and stuff, I think it would have been terrible. So I have very little faith that they're going to be. Well, I think they're going to aim for that mythical modern audience.
Yeah. Probably. Mostly just because, again, Microsoft is now at the helm. And we thought that at least it would improve the quality of the game, be less buggy or whatever. Doesn't seem it does at all with, what was it, Starfield? So it's just like, cool. Now we have to deal with both problems of bad quality and Microsoft pushing agenda. But there's other news related to Kingdom Hearts at Square today. With the kind of images for Kingdom Hearts 4, it was actually funny how they decided to let people see these images. They're like, hey, we're sorry it's taking so long, but we need a little bit more time. In the meantime, here's some images to hold you over. That was pretty much the tweet that they put out. Amid that, there was supposed to be another game called Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. It was going to be like a mobile game. I think it was going to have some GPS-based action involved in it, similar to like a Pokemon Go thing, but centered around Kingdom Hearts. It was going to be their replacement function like an MMO, in a sense. And a lot of people were looking forward to it. And they announced today that Kingdom Hearts Missing Link is no longer happening. The team has been moved back over to the Kingdom Hearts 4 team to try to get it out faster. So they just completely canceled all development on Missing Link. So that's dead in the water.
Now that was going to be like an interim.
Yes, it was going to be something that would hold you over. We don't know where in the timeline it was going to be. I think Sora was involved, so I don't know. There wasn't too much details on it. It's just dead. That's the detail we got now.
Yeah. Well, that's a shame.
You want to hear something else that's dead in the water? The PC release of Stellar Blade is probably not going to be making the killing that people have been waiting for. Do you know why?
Oh, no.
Because they decided that they were going to include de novo anti-piracy software into the PC release of the game, which even on the highest end PCs has caused performance issues. It's like, it's not even just a problem for people with aging devices or just lower end in general, even people with good devices. Anytime that you put that software on a game, it kind of just ruins performance. And it makes the game files bigger than it needs to be otherwise. And they've decided to put it on there, so that's going to kill a lot of PC gamers' interest in Stellar Blade, sadly, because we've all been waiting for it to hit PC.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. So, like, what? That's supposed to... Is that more of an anti-cheat, or is it like a just DRM?
It's a DRM thing more than anything. It's they call it an anti-tampering software. So it probably aids in anti-cheat as well. Not that it matters, because it's not an online game, really. But it's kind of just to stop you from pirating, which doesn't, it never has, never will, because piracy is an arms race and pirates are very smart. All it actually does is make more people pirate your games, because it hurts the people who want to support you legitimately, because you're giving them an inferior version of the game. So then they'll go to the pirates that have learned to remove it anyway, and they'll just play the superior pirated version of the game. It's actually, as Gabe Newell has always said himself, the way to combat piracy is accessibility.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And is it going to be on Steam?
Yeah, that's actually how everybody found out, because if you go to the Steam page right now, over on the side, you can see a yellow box that tells you that it will be using the third-party software, Denuvo, in the program. Which caused a lot of people, myself included, to unwishlist it and unfollow the game. So...
Well, I mean, I'd rather have it on PlayStation anyway.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to worry about Denuvo on PlayStation. We also don't think it's Sony. We think it's Shift Up was the one that decided this, because in all of Sony's other releases, this would be the first game they published that has Denuvo on it. And it's been around for quite a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I almost feel like Steam should just ban it. Just be like, no, we're not going to accept any more games with this on it.
I would honestly be for it, because it actually, what's it called? Harms the player experience, right? It's anti-consumer.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think so. It seems like it just, yeah, from Steam's perspective, it seems like it really does nothing but reduce the quality of the games that they're hosting.
I don't understand why anybody even uses it, other than I was chatting with Buck about this earlier, because he asked me, he's like, you know what? I think it's probably marketing outreach. I think it's the creators of Denuvo themselves that go to the companies and convince them that they need this anti-tampering software in their game for the sake of their own sales. And then the company just believes them because they've gotten so good at marketing this.
Yeah. No.
I mean, that's kind of like the only way you can make those type of sales, right? It's not like people are putting Denuvo into their game by word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. Well, like, I guess the question is what's the percentage of people who, like, even know about that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
We're probably overestimating the
Yeah.
knowledge of that kind of thing.
Yeah, even amongst like the devs, right? Because unless the dev is a gamer themselves, or like the person higher up, I'm sure there have probably been times where lower like programmers and stuff have probably been like, hey, why are we putting this shit in the game? But like, unless the people in charge who are making those decisions play games and are aware of this stuff, it'd be pretty easy for somebody to come and market their software to you with the idea of like, hey, it will help your sales because less people will pirate your game, which tends to be the opposite of what ends up happening.
Yeah.
Like straight up, if they leave it in the game, and don't have a PlayStation, never plan on having a PlayStation, I would actually advocate the piracy of this game. And I like Shift Up as a company. I want to be able to support them. I like Nike, Goddess of Victory. Stellar Blade looks like a fun game, but it's like that is just so harmful for the consumer that if you will only play this game on PC, I would actually advocate you pirate it, mostly just to teach the company a lesson not to do that again.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
But it's not out yet. You know, actually, if people make a big enough stink about it, there's enough time for them to remove it.
Mm-hmm.
So go make a stink.
Well, they could even remove it after the initial publish.
Oh yeah, they could, but it will hurt them quite a bit on launch if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like the best decision would be it's not out now. Remove it before it launches.
Yeah, that would be the best option.
Hey, Mike. Am I
Yeah.
ready for Sunday? Am I ever ready for Sunday? That is a tough question.
It just seems like very outdated to even just. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. To just worry about piracy that much, you know?
Well, I do think it comes from a major misunderstanding of why people pirate.
Yeah.
Right. And there's some people that just are like, fuck the system, that will pirate regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But those people are very, very small. Like if we were talking about the whole population of people who will buy or like play a game is the human body,
Mm-hmm.
those people are literally just your fingers on one hand, you know?
Yeah.
But if you make the game troublesome, if you only give people like inferior versions of games for access, if you charge way too much for a game for it to even be reasonable, anything that impairs accessibility, then the amount of people who would pirate your game grows a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just recommend these companies, like, don't worry about it. Just, you know, there's going to be a little bit of piracy, but the easier you make it to buy the game, the less piracy you'll have.
Yeah, yeah. And you make good games too. Or just good content, you make it accessible. A lot of people tell you, it's like, yeah, you know, the amount of people that pirate is insignificant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like...
It should be, yeah.
It's actually, I know Sony is trying to like lobby for different laws around IP or IPSs and stuff, right? Or ISPs. That's what the word I'm looking for. Internet service providers, where they can like basically ban you from the internet or like disconnect you if you're caught pirating too much. I don't think that will ever pass, but they are lobbying hard for stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny, like several years ago when I was actually on a different, actually it may have been Cox still.
Yeah.
I actually got a notification because I downloaded a ROM or something.
No, I know what you downloaded.
What was it?
WandaVision.
No.
Oh, well, you got a letter from that one too, because we talked about that.
Really? Did I?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was when we were covering WandaVision on the Vomitorium. We had a whole conversation about it and how you got a letter.
Oh.
But I think you were at AT&T or something at that time.
Yeah, it was something more recent than that. In fact, I bet I have an email from them still somewhere, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it just feels very intrusive. It's like, how do you know I didn't own that? Like, is it actually illegal to download something that you already own? I don't know.
Yeah, well, one of the big things too is I heard from some people who've worked for ISPs at the higher end and actually throughout most of the ends, but that it's actually not enforceable the way it is right now, and that the ISP itself doesn't care. Most of those letters and notices are basically just put out to cover their asses, like just to handle on their end, and that they have yet to actually punish anybody for it because legally they don't have to. Now, if laws change, that would be different. But right now, the way the laws are is like they're just sending out those notices to cover their ass, to say like, yeah, no, we notified them.
Yeah. They're just trying to scare me.
And they won't. They also don't even tell them who they notified. They're like, no, we'll cover it. We know who it is, but we're not going to release their details.
Yeah, we'll just hold on to this just in case.
Yeah.
We do manage to pass a law.
But it's more of I know with Sony too is they want to at least basically be able to kind of legally subpoena the ISPs. And be like, yeah, no, but we'll block you from our services. It's like, well, I mean, that information's private, so you shouldn't have it. But if for some reason you had access to that information legally, I can understand you blocking people personally from your services, just as long as it doesn't block their internet access in general. Like, you have the right to do that. But as it is right now, you don't have the right to have that information. So, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, really.
It did have other things. A lot of horrible things in the news today, But honestly, it makes me feel great. Because like I was saying for a long time, I do want to see much of the AAA industry crash and burn. I don't want to see them all disappear. Like, I don't want them to go out of business. I just want them to suffer enough that they actually do have to turn things around, Which Square might actually be this time. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt until I see them doing more stupid shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, video games are my favorite hobby. I don't want the industry to go away completely. I would like to see some more, bad players, but I don't know that consolidation helps anything.
No, I don't think it does.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's some companies it kind of makes sense for them to consolidate, and I'm not going to complain when they do. Like, there's a lot of companies that are effectively just second-party companies to people like Nintendo, where they've only ever done things for Nintendo for like a decade straight. It's like, okay, well, that consolidation makes sense that they would bring them in as a subsidiary. And sure. I could see that with a couple other things. But for these bigger companies, I didn't like seeing Square and Enix merge in the first place. I didn't like seeing Activision and Blizzard merge. And now we're even seeing companies that have consolidated before get enveloped by another larger company where Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard. And I don't like seeing any of this. I don't necessarily think it's good for the industry.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think so. But, if they... That's why I'd love to see companies like Ubisoft, just break apart, sell all of their IPs to preferably smaller companies, although they'd probably end up selling them to bigger.
Yeah, because it would go in auction format, and who's got the money to secure it?
Yeah, exactly.
I actually don't want to see Ubisoft break out. I would like to see them just do like a reboot too. Where these investors are, and just be like, hey, we found a guy who actually plays games that has a lot of business experience, and we're going to put him in charge. Because the people who should be directing these companies should be people who understand games themselves.
Yeah.
It's kind of like to go back to the best president of Nintendo America, Reggie Fils-Aimé, right? Mm-hmm. He had no experience in the video game industry from a business side. He was more like pizza and a couple other stuff before that, but he was a experienced businessman, and he had experience playing games. Like, he actually did play games himself before they hired him. So that experience was the deciding factor.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you need to do. You need to. There's plenty of people out there who have grown high up the executive chain that have been playing games since the 90s. Just go find one of those guys who actually understands what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen CEOs who come from other industries sometimes just crash and burn and they're terrible, but sometimes they know what they're doing in business in general.
Yeah,
and they're interested in sort of adjusting to a new industry that they're not super familiar with. I mean, Reggie was just fun.
Yeah, everybody loved Reggie. He's a very charismatic guy. He was just there to have a good time because he knew that was the audience he was talking to, were people who just wanted to have a good time. There's people who play Nintendo games. They don't care necessarily about graphics or the power of the system. They just care if the thing you're giving them is going to amuse them for the next couple hours that they have to spare time.
Yeah.
My body is ready. Well, here's some good non-news for you. I'm going to call it non-news because it doesn't actually change anything. But Dragon Quest XII development team assures you that development is still ongoing. Actually, Hori himself is like, don't worry, we are still working on Dragon Quest XII. It is happening.
Good.
We still don't have a release date or a launch window, but it'll be a Switch 2 game.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, he did say we'll likely release on the Switch 2, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very good. Does that mean? Well, yeah. They do multi-platform now. Right?
That's actually part of Square Enix's reboot. That they mentioned this longer back, but they reiterated it in their plan that they do not want to be stuck to a single console anymore. They want to spread off and have opportunities on multiple systems. Though for a lot of that, it is Nintendo and Steam seems to be their biggest play, I guess here. But the Microsoft is on the table. Sony's still on the table. They just don't want to be exclusive to Sony for anything because that's been burning them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think they'd be sooner exclusive to Nintendo than anywhere else because they know that will at least sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I've been, I really like Dragon Quest 11 on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Or I did until they took it away from me. It was a PS Plus.
Yeah.
So I'm not married, but it would be cool to have it on the Switch 2. Now that the Switch 2 is going to be at least as powerful as what, PS4 Pro or whatever.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
So that sounds good. What else is going on?
Sorry, I was readjusting something. I think I was probably a tad bit too loud this whole time. Sorry to the audience. I hope you were fine. I was on some other show. I was using my OBS as a webcam, and when I do that, I uncap my mic because it's just picking up the visual on the equalizer. Normally, I have that -3 decibels when I'm on this show just to even things out. Forgot to adjust it until now, so I hope that hasn't been too bad. I know I can be pretty loud at times.
Seemed okay to me.
Fizz asks, I'm a person. I'm just going to stop it right
what?
there. I think you are a
This is
person.
the first I've heard of this.
But yeah, I'm a person who mainly plays games for creative gameplay. Am I in the minority? Well, here's the problem with that question, is the idea of creative gameplay will vary from person to person. You know, like
Yeah.
a game centered around a unique mechanic is creative gameplay to a lot of people. Like Katamari Damacy, when it came out, would have been considered creative gameplay. So I don't think you're necessarily in a minority in that regard. I think there is a plurality of people that are looking for interesting games that are doing something different than other people. I think what you mean by creative gameplay, which is something that strictly just lets you do whatever the hell you want to do, specifically. Yes, you are in the extreme minority of being an individual. Everyone is. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I've lamented. I've found it difficult to define what it is that bothers me about certain games.
Yeah.
But I guess you said it. You said it once where it was like there are games that are for non-gamers.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Call of Duty kind of things, and
Which Call of Duty didn't used to be. Funny enough, right? Like if you go further back, Call of Duty was built for gamers, especially like World at War. World at War was a gamer shooter, right? But they have been subject to like a casualization of the genre over time.
yeah.
And I think that's been happening to a lot of major franchises. Actually, I saw one earlier. I didn't bring it up, but it was an article we could have talked about where it was a Call of Duty veteran doesn't think that the devs know what they're doing with the franchise anymore. Like there's no point to it. They could just stop making Call of Duty games.
They could.
Yeah.
Like, because they could just live off what they've already got out
Yeah,
there.
you could just play the older, better ones, or the games aren't full games anymore either. Like they're mostly focusing strictly on the multiplayer experience, and to some degree they're focusing on nostalgia, right? Like every new Call of Duty, whether it's a remake that originally had that map in there, or if it's a brand new addition to one of their many franchises within it, right? Like how Black Ops is its own franchise, Modern Warfare is its own franchise. They all have Nuketown now because they know Nuketown sells. People just want to shoot each other in Nuketown. And then you have to ask yourself, it's like, well, why would I want to buy the new game to shoot each other in Nuketown when I've already got 5 games I could play online still with people to shoot each other in Nuketown, right? Like, there's no point to Call of Duty. And they're not really focusing on the single-player campaign. That was why people used to buy it. It's like, okay, I want the newest one because, some of the gameplay mechanics are different. They'll have different feats that you can attach to your character. Maybe they'll have different guns. But more importantly, there's going to be this whole single-player campaign that I can play before hopping into the multiplayer, and that's what's going to even make the multiplayer more dynamic. So there's a point to hopping into the next one. Now you could just basically make Call of Duty Infinite or whatever, like Halo Infinite, and just have it being an endless live service game that you support. There's no point in making new Call of Duties.
Yeah, it really just seems like they could just, treat it like more like something like Splatoon, because they don't need to come out with different versions so often. They can
or like how Overwatch was handled with the original Overwatch or something like that. It's just like it could just be an endless live service game. It could be handled like League of Legends even.
Yeah. It seems like they could just add content to the current version and really only come out with a new version when there's, some sort of profound, major, gameplay change that they would be difficult to update their existing versions.
Yeah, and that's how I felt about Call of Duty for years. As somebody who even kind of casually likes the franchise, I've enjoyed some of the single-player campaigns in the past, which, what's weird is that they used to consider you a casual if you only liked the story mode in Call of Duty, just because of the ladder and leaderboard. But honestly, I think if you're somebody who only plays the multiplayer and you're not like highly invested in the leaderboard, that's where you're a casual. Because there's a lot of people, they just like skip. They don't even play the single player campaign in the older games. They just go right into the multiplayer and then die because they didn't build up any mechanics, or they just kind of carried some things over from the last one they played. It's like, well, I don't know, man. I think I'm a little more hardcore than most of the multiplayer people because I actually beat the whole campaign, you know, on the hardest difficulty. I don't give a shit about the leaderboard, so I don't jump in to play the multiplayer. It just makes us different types of gamers.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, too, is like, I didn't find there was any need to play, but like every other Call of Duty game, because I didn't feel like there were any substantial changes between them.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it, but I don't know anything about it really.
Yeah.
Just know what I've watched here and there, but I don't even watch people play it. It's just like I only really most of the footage is like funny stuff about Wings of Redemption and
Oh, yeah.
people like that. It's like that's all I know about Call of Duty. I know he sucks at it.
Yeah, well, Wings of Redemption sucks at everything, so that's just kind of a given. See, you wanna diagnose Fizz? Let's diagnose him. He asked. He said, "I like Deus Ex: Human Revolution. It's a good game. I like Dishonored, a good game, though I don't like it personally. And I'm playing Kenshi, a game that, other than what he said, I know nothing about. What does that say about me as a gamer? Honestly, you feel like an older gamer in the same ways that like how I grew up, and also I'm sure how even before that you grew up, Marsupial, where it's just like there are some niche things that you're into and you just play what you like. That's how most people were for the longest time. They didn't care about what was popular.
Can you read that list to me again?
Deus Ex: Human Revolution, Dishonored, and Kenshi. And XCOM. He's adding XCOM to the list.
Oh, that was a good addition.
Mm-hmm. Which actually kind of feels like an RPG gamer. Not like necessarily a traditional turn-based, though. XCOM does fall into the tactical turn-based category. And I think Dishonored might. I don't know. It's been a while since I've played it. I don't even remember the mechanics of it. I just remember I didn't like the game. But Deus Ex is one of those like tactical or not like action RPGs. There's a lot of role play and decisions in that. And even Kenshi, I think, has some level of RPG mechanic. So it seems like he's just like a niche RPG player, and he's just waiting to find. Especially that I know he likes Fallout and he likes Morrowind specifically. He's like, you're just a niche RPG player.
You do. I mean, I gotta admit that's pretty good taste, right?
Yeah, it is. I'm not giving it's a stealth game with magic. Okay, wait, I might be mistaking Dishonored with another one that I also didn't like. I know which one you're talking about, though, and I didn't care for Dishonored. I don't think it's bad, though. I just was having fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I kind of, I agree with a lot of what Fizchozo says about modern RPGs.
Yeah.
Especially sort of their lack of a lot of choice. A lot of them are.
Yeah.
Not only just like too linear in the story, but like don't give you a whole lot of real customization options other than a character creator that you could have to deal with for like 2 hours to get your face looking exactly the way you want it to. And as I'm like, I don't care what my characters look like. I want to be able to, and it's you just kind of have to accept that things didn't go in that direction.
If you were like a Wizardry, Dragon Quest, or Phantasy Star player, you didn't even see your character in combat. Like, why would you care what their face looks like?
Exactly. I mean, even the old some of the other old school games, not quite that old, but like late 80s stuff. Like there's a tiny little sprite that didn't really matter. You didn't really see what their face looked like or anything like that.
Yeah. So. They'll have to say like mid 90s sprites, like late Super Nintendo era. were gorgeous. Like I think most companies hired the right people, and the industry for a while was just like hitting the head of the nail with the sprites that they made. I would say I miss it, but a lot of indie people are actually going right back to that, so we're getting it more now than ever. And even the smaller like single A, double A projects at bigger studios like Octopath Traveler over at Square or any of their HD 2D stuff are kind of embodying that too. So I'm getting more of it than I was for maybe the decade before that.
Yeah, and I mean more than just the sprites, like the the character portraits in Ultima 7 from 1991. Actually, the ones from Serpent Isle, I think was 92. Look great. I mean, obviously it's all VGA graphics. So I mean, you're dealing with
dude, the character portraits in Final Fantasies 4, 5, and 6, based off of Yoshitaka Amano's arts, are
yeah, it's fantastic.
Speaking of Yoshitaka Amano,
realistic, but yeah, I love that kind of
because
art.
I love Amano's art. Did you see any of the Magic the Gathering cards? Because Amano did do art for 2 cards specifically in it.
Sorry. The only one I think that I've seen is Aerith. And
with the chair.
Laughing with the chair?
Oh, the Aerith Gameboro card, which is great. Her her effect is that like when this creature dies, she gives like a morale boost or like a drive to all of her friends, and they all get like +1/+1. To every other creature on the field. But she's got one where she's got like a steel chair over her head while she's in her honeybee in dress. And
is that real?
Yeah, that's the actual card. She's going to smack somebody. Both Aerith and Tifa are fighting in their dresses.
Yeah, I didn't even... I that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, it's a great card. I love it.
Yeah, I was laughing about it because, it says when Aerith Gainsborough dies, put, +1/+1 counters, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, hey, spoiler alert, implying that they were spoiling the fact that she died.
Well, actually, it's really cool. They have a card for the secret rendezvous. The Ferris wheel scene where you have to invite somebody to go watch the fireworks with you in 7. And they have one for all 4 scenarios, for Tifa, for Aerith, for Yuffie, and for Barrett, with their quote on it. But the default one is the Cloud and Tifa one. So that's the one that comes in like the deck when you order the big pack. The others you have to just pull from boosters. So they're kind of weighing in on the canon of Final Fantasy VII, but I think we all know that is the real one anyway, because most of their conversation ends up being about how they're both concerned about Aerith, and that plays more into the game's story to have that be the canon date that you go on.
Yeah. But actually, so I did look at that one quite a bit, but I did not notice until just now that she is holding a chair like a wrestler. Like someone on...
Aerith coming in with the chair!
Final Fantasy VII, Jerry Springer.
Yeah, but you know what, though? That's like... That's totally in character for Aerith, though, because she was kind of just like a bubbly, kind of crazy go-get-em girl, so...
Sort of, except when she was, in her flower girl persona, I guess.
Yeah.
She
had to come out of her shell a little bit, but that was the person that she was inside the whole time. She just needed more confidence.
Yeah. She was probably a bit broken over... Wait, no, she wasn't... Was she the one who was in love with Zack?
She was, but she didn't know what happened to him yet.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, she had a thing for Zack.
Yeah,
but anyway,
she hitting some guy with spiky hair that she's about to hit with a chair.
I'm assuming it's just one of the people at what's his face, Don. What was his name? Corneo, Don Corneo's place or whatever.
Yeah.
But the card specifically I was talking about is you have to look at the Kefka cards, both his normal and his like ascended form, because Yoshitaka Amano did the art for that. And he even had an interview behind it where he said, it's like, well, one of the things about drawing Kefka is that you just have to go all out on it. And so he decided to draw him with no rules. Right? Like, I'm just going to squiggle and do whatever and just feel the picture. And both of them look great. Like, they look like classic Amano pieces, and he went hard on them. Honestly, of all the cards, they're kind of the ones I would want the most, but I guarantee you, I'm never going to get them because those are going to be the most expensive ones to come across.
What's that? Those
The two Kefka cards.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at so there's, what's nice, I don't understand why people are talking about getting rid of, like, hashtags.
Yeah.
On
hashtags are great.
On X. Yeah, because there's an MTG X Final Fantasy tag. Because I was like, oh, where can I find more of these? Click on there. First thing comes up, Vincent Valentine, the Galleon Beast.
Yeah. Like, I understand that some people think the hashtag looks tacky, right? But especially if you're like an older internet user, right? You've been around for a while. It's like that's part of the aesthetic of hyperlinks. A hashtag becomes a hyperlink to a thread or a tag, like a series of things. And I like having an actual handy hyperlink. I don't want to have to try to find all of that stuff just by putting the keywords into the search bar.
Yeah, exactly. It's very handy. I guess it does technically just do the same thing as if you just searched for a keyword, but like.
But if you have a specific one like the one you mentioned, where it kind of creates almost like a folder of stuff that are all directly connected because you're specifically using that tag. There's a good use for hashtags. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, and like it indicates to other people, hey, if you want to have your post show up, in this group into this sort of conceptual folder, just tag.
Yeah. It's kind of like I did that with the EDK art contest back in 2021, and there was if you wanted to participate in the X Dynamis Chaos art contest, you just use the hashtag EDK art contest, and it was easy to find everything that way. Because like, who else was using that tag?
Yeah, there's a card. I guess it's a magic card from Final Fantasy X called "Stay with me until the end," or called "Farewell," and the quote is "Stay with me until the end, please."
Yeah. One of my favorite cards. So it's a burning eruption of a man with multiple arms, so you can kind of guess who it's supposed to be, and it's self-destruct, right? Who uses self-destruct on you?
Oh, it's what's that guy? Is it Bagnon or?
No, even better, Gilgamesh.
Oh, okay.
Right, that's Gilgamesh is the only person who has canonically survived self-destructing. Because that is totally just a Gilgamesh thing to do.
Yeah.
And even actually on the card, it has his quote too, and he's like, ha! If I just let you in the lurch, I'd look like a jerk of all history. And then he explodes. But the card is that you target a creature you control, and it deals X damage to any other target, and X damage to itself, where X is its power. So it's like that's kind of a cool card. But it's actually really broken with one of the other cards that exists in the Final Fantasy set. And it's the Jumbo Cactuar, who has 10,000 needles as its move. And whenever this creature attacks, it gets plus 9,999 over plus 0 until the end of its turn, right? So if you were to tap the Cactuar, and then you were to use self-destruct with it, it would just blow itself up and the other thing for 9,999. There is nothing that survives the Jumbo Cactuar self-destructing. It is ridiculous, it's stupid, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, that's why you have to kill it before it can do that.
Oh, obviously. Which is easy to kill, like I said, it's got a high power, but it's over plus 0, so it's not like you're going to have trouble getting rid of the Jumbo Cactuar.
Yeah. Man, I remember we fought that sucker, or fought several of those, didn't we? In
Tabletop.
the tabletop game.
I don't think you guys ever actually. You fought the little cactuars, and you came across the jumbo. I don't think if you ever actually beat it though. Like I think you just
Yeah, I
ran
guess we
each
never
time.
did. Oh, did we? Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. We were cowards.
I mean, to be fair, that thing is kind of scary. But you
Yeah.
had to run into it. You didn't have a choice because of Dana and the way her character is designed. That if you were escorting her, you were going to run into the maximum number of encounters during her escort, and including the roaming boss encounters too.
Yeah. Oh, Dana. Oh, here's a
Yeah.
beautiful one of, how do you pronounce it? Celis Share from Final Fantasy VI.
Oh yeah. Celeste is how a lot of people say it. Probably Celis is probably more correct because it's one of those weird localizations where the Japanese name is Ceres, but Ceres is also a European name, so you probably didn't have to change it. Like they were probably just saying the name right the first time, and they decided it was going to be Celeste.
But yeah, it's Talisman of Conviction.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really understand how these artifacts work, but apparently it deals 1 damage to you. I don't understand. But I guess it gives you something. It gives you a land card or something.
Yeah, I know the Terra one looks gorgeous too. A lot of the art's really good, even though a lot of it's not a mono, which ultimately doesn't matter. It's just he was the art of Final Fantasy for many generations, so it's kind of cooler when he does it. But like even like some of the other artists that they came in to do stuff, they made spectacular looking works.
Yeah.
I also like
all
the
very
Cecil
nice.
card because I think Cecil has conditions to where the Dark Knight form can turn into the Paladin form, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah,
I mean, it's only supposed
and
to happen once.
it's one of those decks where everything is built like the typing, or I guess decks sets because there's more than a deck's worth. All the typings are built around the lore of the characters, which doesn't usually work for decks, right? Usually when you're playing Magic, you want to play maybe like a 2-color deck, right? You can play a monocolor, but usually you're playing like a duo-color deck, right? And you're doing some type of synergy there. So you might be playing like a black and white deck. Maybe you might be playing green only, but you're probably going to be playing like green and brown or something like that.
Yeah.
Unless you're playing Commander, then things kind of change, which Final Fantasy is great for Commander, actually. But these decks are all actually built to kind of function like a colorless deck, where you could just play a bunch of these off-colored, just Final Fantasy characters in a deck together, and they function. It also means that a lot of their stuff will probably be banned from competitive play, reasonably. I don't blame them. But they kind of function without you having to do a single or duo-color deck. You could just put a bunch of Final Fantasy stuff together and let it work.
Yeah. Yeah, do people play, like, are these even allowed, like, in tournaments and stuff?
Some of them probably will be. And they probably won't be in a Final Fantasy deck. They'll probably be taken and mix-matched into single or duo-color decks. But there's definitely some that I saw that are going to be banned. I'm pretty sure Vivi is banned after seeing his card. I think it's too strong.
Yeah.
There's a couple other ones that probably won't be legal, but I think most of it's fine. You're just going to have to like figure ways to work them out.
Yeah.
But Vivi, like, you just keep stacking on him, right? Like, you could just keep getting +1, +1, +1, +1, and he'll just blow things up. It's really stupid. It's really easy for you to stack stuff on him. I don't think he'll be legal at all. Like, you could easily just get +20 on him in a single turn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounded like he was kind of ridiculous, but seems like those would be fun to make, but it's like they had to know that was going to be. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not supposed to be serious, right? This is just it's a collab thing, and MTG, they don't actually really care about what's legal in tournaments or whatever. They leave that up to the tournament organizers. They're like, we're just gonna make fun stuff because it's gonna sell and make us a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. Yeah, I see it. I was gonna say I see a live streamer posting the secret rendezvous sorcery card, and basically saying, if I don't get this, I'm gonna lose it.
If I don't get this, I will cast self-destruct on myself.
Yeah.
I will tap me as the creature.
Exactly. Yeah. Tap me.
Yeah, there is a Fallout MTG. They've did collabs with like everyone. It's kind of cool. Just good Lord of the Rings one as well. Now the problem is it's really hard to get the cards for the thing you're interested in if you're not collecting it at the time that the crossover is running. So you kind of like always have to be watching out for it.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't mind waiting though, because I've pretty much already resigned myself to just not getting the ones I want. So it's like if I could just pick up a garbage set of like, these are all the cards people didn't want. I'm selling it for like 10 to 20 bucks. I'll pick up that just chunk of garbage cards. Like, they're still Final Fantasy cards to me. I'll pick up a Moogle. I don't care.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's one called Clever Concealment. Can you guess what that's showing?
Let me think. Clever Concealment. There's a few things that could be.
From Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, from 7. Oh, okay. It's cloud cross-dressing.
Yeah.
I'm like, narrowing it down to which game made it a lot easier. Because, like, Clever Concealment could have been the moment in 5 where they all found out that Ferris was a girl. You know, like, there's all kinds of different things that could be. But that helped a lot, yeah.
Yeah. It's amusing.
Which is, the 5 one I find is even funnier, because Ferris wasn't hiding it at any point. Like, she wasn't, like, telling them that she was a man. She just kind of dressed and acted like one because she was in charge of pirates and raised that way. So when they happen to walk in on her room and she's sleeping naked, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the funniest moments in Final Fantasy. I love it. I think 5 actually is the funniest Final Fantasy out of all of them.
You think so?
Yeah, 7 comes close, though. I think 7, one of its strengths from storytelling is that there's a lot of good humor in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
6 has some pretty funny moments, too, but I think 5 and 7 are funnier. But, I mean, anytime, what's-his-face, Ultros shows up on the scene is just a gem. But there was one last thing I wanted to bring up before we wind down, because we're already over time. Something we don't have to talk very long about. But we all know Tekken director Katsuhiro Harada, correct? So he has been wanting to fulfill a fan dream that a lot of the fan base has wanted for a while, and he even thinks that it would be hilarious and fit a lot of the aesthetic of the game. Everybody wants a Tekken fight at Waffle House, and he's been trying to get Waffle House officially added in as a stage where you could fight in the Waffle House parking lot with the Waffle House behind it. But he's struggling.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Waffle House or probably not even the execs, just the marketing department and whoever that you end up contacting, customer resources, it just keeps disconnecting them and turning them down. They've not been able to work anything out. I think it'd be great for the brand of Waffle House, honestly, but Waffle House may not think that, because I don't think they want people associating parking lot fights with Waffle House, even though they already do. So he's like, hey, if we can't get that quote-unquote house name license, How about we call it something else like Hustle House or whatever?
Yeah.
Which I think is probably fine. There's a few different names you could come up with that would work. But man, that would be the most legendary crossover collab ever if they added Waffle House as a playable stage in Tekken.
Yeah. That would be amusing.
Yep.
But yeah, I saw where they were not they were not answering or not returning his calls.
I know. I guess he's just gonna have to like fly over and talk to somebody directly, because I think like if somebody who's important to another company walked in the front door of the headquarters, they're not gonna not see him. You know, just be like, oh yeah, no, I'm the lead developer of this team. That would get somebody to ping somebody else for you to talk to. But handling this stuff over the phone, I understand exactly why they're having issues.
Yeah.
I still don't think if he showed up, they would come up to a deal, though. I don't think Waffle House wants that association, even though they already have it.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. But anyway, that's it for the show. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Share it out. Give it a like, whatever you got to do, wherever you are. Actually, make sure you're subscribed and or following, depending on where you're watching this.
Please.
Because why are you not, you know? For real. But if you are one of those good guys who are already subscribed, already watching all the time, you can always give a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitoriumlive. Really helps us out. You know, the link is going to be below wherever you're watching this anyway. It shows that you're a real one. And we'll see you guys no later than Monday. I don't know. We should probably really do something in between, but
Maybe.
you'll at least see me over on the mic stand on Sunday, because apparently
Hey,
this is my week.
I should do something, like birthday week live stream.
You should. I've also been considering doing some work streams myself, just because it's something that'd be easy. Like maybe do some writing or drawing or something. I just have to remember to do it.
It's a shame, most of my, frankly, I think I do quite a bit of interesting stuff at my actual job, but unfortunately I can't.
No, that's all like NDA stuff.
Can't broadcast that. Yeah, that would be divulging company secrets to the universe. But there's other stuff we could do.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you guys again no later than Monday. Bye.
Bye.